Welcome back to Truth or Recon. I'm Agent D. Baker, a retired narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy combat veteran of OEF and OIF. With years of real-world experience in high-stakes environments, I have seen firsthand the dangers that lurk both in our communities and now increasingly online. These conversations can get raw, they can get heavy, and sometimes they may not be suitable for children, so consider this your disclaimer. But if you care about truth, justice, and accountability, then you're in the right. What's up, everybody? Apologize for the late start, but it's been a long day. Hope everyone is doing well this evening. So I spent the day in Macon County, sitting in the trial for the POS that took Anaya Blanchard's life. And it's tough. We had 4 witnesses testify today, and it really, the reality of everything really hits you sitting in there listening to the things that happened from actual people that were there. And I cannot imagine what Anaya's family is going through, sitting up there in the front, having to listen to these things and see these things. Again, the reality of it really sits in. To say her family is one of the strongest families I've ever seen is an understatement. The strength they have to be able to sit there is amazing. And so everyone that is a Christian, please pray for them. Because again, I can't imagine. I can't. And the guy that did that he's a monster. And again, I knew I knew most of the details back, years ago. But it's been so long since I've, heard them. And then realizing that he was not in jail when this happened, when it is unreal that he was not in jail for the crimes he had previously committed. And just, they kept letting him out. At least 4 armed robberies. At least 2 prior attempted murders. Another couple of felony assaults. I think a felony burglary. And 2 other kidnappings. Think about that. That is all the crimes that guy had committed already. And they kept letting him out. And even since then,
since he got arrested for this and has been sitting in jail, they have figured out another capital murder that he had committed. And that one, along with Anaya, would still be alive if a judge had done their job and prosecutor had done their job in the first place. I mean, it's legit unbelievable. But fortunately, as most of you know, when her family found out all the things that he had already committed and was still out of jail, then that's when they immediately went to work. And within 2 years, had Anaya's law passed in the state of Alabama, which now means any serious assaults, murders, child crimes, any of those, the judge has the discretion to keep them in on a no bond. It just sucks that it took that for something like that to get passed. But again, thankfully it has, and there's no telling how many lives her family has saved now by immediately going to work and getting that law passed. Yeah, I'm talking about the Anaya Blanchard case. And to sit there and watch him in court just laid back, smirking here and there, just a monster. And again, how the justice system didn't realize that before that, I have no idea. I mean, there could not have been more clues. There could not have been more red flags. But anyway, and I don't want to talk about specifics of testimony or anything yet until the trial is actually over. But I'm taking tons of notes. So I will put it all together when the trial is over and go over everything. I sent you a video of True Crimes with Megan. Okay, yeah, I'll check that out, Tammy. Thank you. Hey, Missy. What's up, Eric? I'm guessing the weather in Hawaii is pretty good. We was talking about the weather in Louisiana and Mississippi have rough weather and possible tornadoes tonight. I think it's possible for even parts of Alabama as well. So yeah, everyone in the line of those storms, be on the watch, please. What's up, Ohio? Gabby, you're not familiar with the Anaya Blanchard case? Yeah, it's for those of you that are not familiar. I'll give a very quick synopsis of the events of what happened in 2019. Anaya was a college student at a. I've mistakenly said that she was a student at Auburn University, but her brother was. But she was attending a community college in that same area. But anyway, she was a college student and had driven home from her family's home in the Birmingham area of Alabama, back down to Auburn late one night with her brother. She had dropped her brother off at his house, his apartment, and then she was on her way to hers, which was only 10 minutes away from his house. And she pulled into a gas station that was 2 miles from her apartment and went in and purchased sour cream and onion chips. And within 30 minutes, this monster had taken her life. So, at first, obviously, she was missing. Her roommate woke up the next morning, noticed she didn't come home. That was very worrisome. And then she didn't show up for work, and none of these things were like her. So they called her parents. They rushed down to Auburn and called the police. And so anyway, it went from there. And a couple days later, they located her car at an apartment complex in Montgomery, Alabama, which is, if you're not familiar with the area, is about 50 miles west of Auburn. And so anyway, I'll just jump to what happened. During the investigation, they figured out she had stopped at this gas station, and they got surveillance footage of her there and saw what she bought. And then they noticed this guy lingering around in the gas station, and he walked out right after her. And unbelievably, after all of this was found out, and after everything was done, weeks later, a guy came forward and said, "You know what? I actually saw him force her into her car in that gas station parking lot." And he didn't tell anybody. What kind of man is that, first off? Like, if I see that, yeah, I'm going to immediately call 911, and then I'm going to chase them down myself. No way around it. But not even calling 911. Anyway. So now I walked out of that gas station, and this guy walked out right behind her, and then he just grabbed her. She didn't know him. He didn't know her. He grabbed her, threw her in her car, and they took off. And at some point during that drive, he shot her. Called another friend later, told him he needed some help, and the friend had a pickup truck, and they took her out to a rural part of Macon County, Alabama, which is in between Auburn and Montgomery, behind a church, and placed her body there. She wasn't located until almost a month later. He was taken in custody days later because they saw him on the video. And then once they found her car, they found his DNA in her car. And so they had him arrested for kidnapping already. And then when they located her, they charged him for the other. So anyway, that's a short synopsis of what happened. just a horrible, horrible thing. You know, it's the it's what horror movies are made out of. Um, I just can't imagine. But I can't, and I didn't know that detail about the guy, and I think I said that wrong. I think I said he didn't come forward until after they located her, but he came forward after it was all over the news, and they had released the footage of him at the gas station trying to get him identified. And then this guy comes forward and said, "Oh, hey, by the way, again, I can't get over that. I don't like, I don't understand, and never will." But yeah, anyway, the trial's tough, obviously, for her family, for sure. And again, they need all the prayers that they can get, for sure. Because again, I cannot imagine sitting there and them going over all the details, and that be my daughter. I can't. I don't think I could, honestly. I don't think I could. Um, and trust me, her stepfather is a lot better. He is 1,000 times better than me. If you're not familiar, her stepfather was a UFC fighter, a heavyweight champion UFC fighter. At one time, he was ranked top 5 in the world. And I can't imagine him sitting up there and just sitting through this without just losing. Again, I don't think I could. But that's how strong her family is. Just amazing people. That's a good question. Why has it taken so long to come to trial? That's a good question. And they've blamed it on, the courts have blamed it on the COVID, with COVID coming and stuff. But in reality, there's no excuse for it to take this long. There's just not. But that is one thing they're blaming it on. Chelsea, I'm talking about the Nia Blanchard case. AKC, yes, she was. Makes me so scared for my granddaughters going to college next year. I mean, obviously, I understand that. But you can't live in just a bubble. I mean, you can't do that. And some things are. I mean, there's nothing that nobody could have done to change that. Like, it's not that her parents did something wrong or she did something wrong. There's just not. I mean, there's no hindsight on that. I mean, that's something that no one would have ever thought would happen. I mean, again, all she did is stop to get a bag of chips before she's going to bed after a long drive. Just horrible. It was proven that she fought back. So again, she did everything she could, but it was proven that she immediately, from what they can recreate, she immediately started fighting back, and that's why he had to fire a shot at her so fast, because they were driving down the road apparently when that happened. So she was she was doing what she was supposed to be doing. He was just a lot bigger, and he had a firearm. But again, Well, and let me take that back. I say hindsight, there's nothing nobody could have done, but as far as her or her family or anything or her friends, but as well, I said in the beginning, it shouldn't have happened and would not have happened if the courts and justice system would have done their job. So yeah, that's what would have avoided it. Because again, the prior charges this guy had was unbelievable. The things that he was out on bond on was unbelievable. Again, attempted murders, a couple kidnappings, a couple robbery ones. He was out on bond on all that stuff. And those things happened at different times. He would do something horrible, they would arrest him and then let him bond out. And on other news, if anything has happened today, I don't know because obviously I was tied up. So I haven't even been on social media today. So if anything interesting has happened, y'all have to fill me in and we can talk about it. Denim, no, they can't. They can't. Yeah, Sandy. Sandy said the guy who saw it happen. Why did he wait? If he had spoken up, he'd saved her life. He probably would have saved her life, and I have no idea why he didn't. Again, that blows my mind. It's unbelievable. The trial actually started. Well, the trial started last week, but they went through. They were going through jury selection all through last week. The opening statements and testimony began this Monday, so we're on just finished day 3 of testimony. Oh yes, Sarah Sue. Oh yeah, we've talked a lot about it. That's awesome. Yeah, that definitely made my day. She was asking about if making sure I'd seen that Aaron Spencer had won the primary for sheriff in Lonoke County, Arkansas. I was on Grimes Live, asked what he did in law enforcement, and they wouldn't answer my. Who is Grimes? Oh, Sarah, so you live there? Well, if it does end up going to trial, which I hope it doesn't, if it does, I will be there in your area. But again, I'm hoping, as I'm sure everybody is, that they end up just dropping the crazy charges against him. Oh, that guy, the Laughing Grimes guy. Yeah, no, that's all I asked him what his background was, and he blocked me. So someone on TikTok said that they were on. So there's a creator on TikTok. It's Laugh and Grinds, all one word, and he is constantly talking about that he was, with his law enforcement experience. But that's literally all he will say. He will constantly say, with my law enforcement experience, I can say this or whatever. and he's got tons of followers. Like, I can't even remember how many, like 200,000 followers or something like that. And I found his live one, came across his live one day, and he was saying things that made no sense as far as like anyone that's familiar with that anyone that's worked in law enforcement, or especially an investigator or detective or anything like that. And so, and all I did was ask, hey man, what's your background? He wouldn't answer. And then I asked him again, and no answer. And he was answering like every question, and he would skip mine every time. I was like, why is he not answering? Like, why would he not answer that question? And so then he said something else, and it was specifically to do with how the feds interview or interrogate. And it was not true at all. It was like something you see on the movies. And I knew, and as soon as he said it, I was like, look, dude, what's your background? Because what you just said is not true at all. Like, why are you acting like you know things and you don't? And then he blocked me. And then some of my teams went on his live, and all they were asking him, literally, all they would ask was, hey, what's your background? And he will not answer anybody. And then he'll eventually block you. But he's got, again, and he has 2,000 to 3,000 people on his lives every day. And they're all believing, and this guy, I'm telling you, this guy does not know what he's talking about. And it's very frustrating because it's dangerous to put out, now like the stuff he was talking about, there's nothing dangerous about it, it's just wrong. But when you're telling people, when you're giving people advice or telling them how, things that they should do or shouldn't do when it comes to dealing with the police or anything, and you don't know what you're talking about, that can be very dangerous because it can, number one, get someone in a lot of trouble if you tell them wrong. Number two, it can get them hurt or a police officer injured. And so it is dangerous, and I don't like that. But he won't answer anybody's questions. But that's what someone had brought up, that they had been on his live, I guess, today and asked him the same thing. And he was a prison guard for 5 years. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. But yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And again, some of the things he says are the most ridiculous things. Like, again, he watches these like CSI shows, not even the real ones, but the NBC shows or whatever, and then puts that stuff out like that's the way things are done in real life, and it's just it's ridiculous. What is AKC talking about on over here? I'm lost. Oh no, I wasn't being disrespectful to corrections officers. They have a tough job. It's one of the hardest jobs in law enforcement. Trust me. No, I wasn't. But a corrections officer, doesn't have a clue how interrogations and interviews, and as far as in a investigative working crimes fashion, I mean, that's completely different worlds. Now, most corrections officers are very good at communicating with people. That's one thing you get good at working in a prison facility. Beverly, I was talking about it's a guy on TikTok. He has a big TikTok following. It's Laugh and Grinds, all one word. That's who I was talking about. Denham said maybe we need to work on federal legislators to get a law passed that they can be held accountable. Talking about judges on the decisions they make. And I completely understand where you're coming from. And a big part of me says that too. But the reality side of me understands why you can't. If you did that, we wouldn't have judges. I mean, that is just a part of being a judge. They get to judge. I mean, that's literally their name. And we just have to, I mean, that's why, but that is one thing. A lot of people don't take their local judges' elections serious, and they'll just vote the same. Like, to beat an incumbent judge, especially in the state of Alabama, is almost impossible because nobody takes it serious. They just, he's been the judge, and they vote him back in. They don't put any thought into it. That's why it's so important that we need to, but that's what needs to start happening. The voters can hold them accountable. We just have to do that. I mean, we have one in Alabama right now who is over the entire 24th Judicial Circuit, which is 4 counties. And I have proven, anyone that's been following me and go back and watch my podcast, a full podcast on him, but Judge Junkin, I have fully proven that he is, number one, a racist. I mean, he is racist. No way around that. And I don't say that lightly. Like, I don't just throw around, oh, they're racist lightly. If I say it, there is hard evidence of them legit being racist because that term is overused. No, he is racist. And I went through, I mean, me and my team have spent days going back through tons of his previous cases, and then I put them together. And if you were black, he sent you to prison for long times, and would set your bonds ridiculously high if you were in the county jail. If you were white, let you go. I mean, it was not even close. And I put all that together and proved it. He's still a judge right now. The worst thing he's done is, and what got him on my radar and a lot of other people's, is there was the guy's name is Timothy Vess Benton, and he was a younger white guy, and he was sentenced to 15 years in state prison. He should have been sentenced to life without parole because he was a child predator. He had over 10 different victims of very young boys. And most of most of the crimes occurred at a school, at a local school, where he wasn't a teacher. He wasn't a coach. Nothing. He was a previous star baseball player at this school. And they just let him, he would just come on campus and walk around and do whatever he wanted. Well, that's what he was doing. He was taking little boys into the bathroom. Again, over 10 victims, the worst crimes you could ever commit. The DA had already messed up when he first got indicted, because the DA he had originally had 48 counts. He was indicted on 48 different serious felony child crimes. And the DA let him plead down to 2. And then all he was going to have to do is spend 15 years in state prison, which again is a joke. Well, less than 5 years after he had been in prison, literally out of nowhere, Judge Junkin let him be released from prison and put him on house arrest. And not only that, part of his house arrest agreement was he was allowed to travel, and I wish I was making this up, back and forth from his family's home, which was located in Fayette County, Alabama, which is in central Alabama, to their beach house in Gulf Shores, Alabama, over 5 hours away. That was part of his house arrest. He was allowed to travel back and forth. In the middle of the night, nothing filed, no victims notified, no victims asked, no victims' families asked, no one. No one had a clue it had happened until somebody figured it out. And when it came out, and we all started immediately looking into it, and it was out of the blue. There was no explanation whatsoever. Well, the victims' families was all losing their minds, understandably. And they were very pissed. And myself, along with some others that do this, started, every single day, nonstop, we were talking about this, trying to bring accountability to that judge and get him sent back to prison, because it was weird and crazy. And I'm going to tell you what happened, and we haven't been able to prove it yet, but this is how confident I am. I'm going to tell you, he's corrupt. And either Benton's family had something on the judge, or they paid him. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around that. And I'm saying that about a current sitting circuit court judge. He's corrupt, and he took a bribe. And I've said that like that numerous times. And every time I say it, he would sue me if that wasn't true. Never heard from anybody. He wants this to go away. Now, luckily, the victims' families and all of us made such a noise about it. The judge ended up recusing himself from the case, as well as the district attorney, and it was turned over to another county and another judge, and that's where it's sitting right now. But the state attorney general's office is wanting him back in prison, and they're just waiting on a grand jury indictment. So he's going to go back to prison. But the judge immediately recused himself after doing, and I'm telling you, it's the sketchiest thing I've ever seen. And I've spoken to a lot of people. I've spoken to retired judges, a lot of people, and said, "Can you explain this?" And not one person yet can. Everyone says something's up. and he's still a judge right there, right now. I'm talking about the Timothy Vest Benton case out of Fayette County, Alabama. Now, the victims' families, and specifically one of the victims' fathers, who's a good man, he got together with the person, whoever owns the land directly across from Timothy Vest Benton's house in Fayette County, Alabama, and they have put up a huge billboard. This is like a 20 by 20 billboard that says child predator lives here, and has his picture on it and a big arrow pointing towards his house. It's right out in front of his house. It's awesome. And it's still there. But they did pull he's not allowed to go to the beach house or anything like that. So they changed all that immediately because, again, we made so much noise. But I'm telling you that judge is corrupt. The exact same judge had a Marquise Gunner, who, and if I didn't bring it up, I think I mentioned it, but Timothy Vest Benton is a white boy. Then that takes us to Marquise Gunner's case. And Marquise Gunner is was he 19? He's young. 18 or 19-year-old black boy. Never in his life been in trouble. Great kid. Straight A's in school. I mean, I've spoken to some of his previous teachers. I mean, never, I could not find anybody that has a bad word to say about this kid. He's a great kid. Which is amazing considering his home life. His mother is a drug dealer. He's half the time had to raise himself. But he's done well. Judge Junkin and the district attorney in that circuit had him in on a $750,000 bond when the max bond, the law enforcement could sit on the same charge, was $60,000. But Judge Junkin overruled it and had him sitting in jail for over a year on a $750,000 bond. Why? What did Marquise do? He was at his apartment that he and his mother shared, and her ex-boyfriend literally broke in the apartment. They had been broken up. She had told him to stay away. He was a violent guy. Broke into the apartment and was beating Marquise's mother. And Marquise shot him in the leg. He lived. He's fully recovered. That's what he did. Marquise should have never been charged. And if he'd have been a white guy, he wouldn't have been. He wouldn't have. He should have never been charged. But Andy Hamlin, who was the district attorney there, and Judge Junkin, the circuit court judge, got together and would not let Marquise out of jail. They wouldn't even let him bond out. I mean, they knew he couldn't make a $750,000 bond, and they kept him sitting in a county jail for over a year. When I heard about this, it was, team, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we'd done that research before, or maybe during when we was looking at the Marquise case. Anyway, around that same time as when I figured out, oh my God, he's racist, straight up racist. And so I start speaking out, and along with some other bigger creators, about Marquise's story and trying to get him out of jail because he shouldn't have been there. And Finally, they had a bond reduction hearing. And I was there. And I sat in the courtroom. And I watched Andy Hamlin, the district attorney, tell lie after lie in court. Straight up lies. The biggest lie that he kept on preaching was Marquise used a stolen firearm, that he stole the firearm he used. Simply not true. It wasn't. It wasn't. He kept on saying that in court on the record. He said it probably 100 times that day during that hearing. The defense, Marquise's lawyers, even called the victim, the POS that broke in and was beating his mother, as he had done numerous times in the past. He even got on stand during this hearing and testified for Marquise and said, look, I was there, by the way, if I haven't said that. So this is not hearsay. And he said, Marquise did nothing wrong. I was in the wrong. I would have done the same thing Marquise did. That's what the man got up there and testified. And Andy Hamlin, the district attorney, lost his mind on that man in court while he's on the stand and started screaming and yelling at him, saying, you understand you don't have a say-so in how we do things? So it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter that you don't want him in jail. That's what he said. He said, that's up to us. And he was right. Three or four people testified that day, all for Marquise, his girlfriend, talking about how good of a person he was, his mother, the victim. And so I was sitting in the back, and I thought, thank goodness. Like, there's no way the judge can't lower his bond now, because there was literally nothing brought up in court. Like, there was no reason for him to still be sitting in jail. None. And as soon as testimony stopped, Judge Junkin didn't even take a minute. He did not even take a minute and ruled that he was not reducing his bond. And it threw me off so bad. And it pissed me off so much. I immediately got up. I immediately got up and left the courtroom. And I couldn't even make it out of the courthouse before I was cussing to the top of my lungs. That's how mad I was. I couldn't help it because it was unbelievable. But I knew if I stayed in the court that I was going to get arrested. So I was smart enough to know, hey, I got to get out of here because I'm about to lose it. It was unbelievable. But Andy Hamlin that day spoke about Marquise as like he was the most dangerous person in the world. I'm not exaggerating. The things he was saying, and none of it made sense. None of it was true. Again, he kept on saying the firearm was stolen. It wasn't. Oh, this still gets me fired up. I walked out of the courthouse, and I went to my truck, and I immediately made a long post about it. Immediately on social media, talking about how ridiculous it was and how pissed I was, and how, that there was corruption going on. Something had to be done. And within minutes of me posting it, I was still sitting in the parking lot. So I'm talking about, this was no more than 15 minutes after I'd walked out of the courthouse that I made this post. And then right after I made it, The DA, Andy Hamlin, commented on my post. Now, he knows me, and I know him. He walked by me in the courtroom a couple of times and would not even look at me. When he would walk by, he would purposely turn away from me and wouldn't speak, which I thought, this is very weird, because I'd never said anything about him at that point. Never. I was like, why is he not speaking to me? Because he knew what was about to happen. And when he saw me in there, he knew that I was about to raise hell online about it. That's the only explanation for him immediately, while he's still in the courtroom, to jump on social media and see what I posted, because he immediately commented. And his comment made him look so much worse. I can't remember what it said, but a lot of people remember it happening, and it made him look so much worse. And it was so bad, I was getting calls from, I'm not going to mention names for obvious reasons, but I got calls from some other district attorneys in the state saying, I have never seen a sitting district attorney try to defend themselves on a Facebook post. It's like you are hitting a spot. It was ridiculous. I mean, I couldn't believe he commented on it. Anyway, I immediately made a couple podcasts about how horrible it was, and I went over everything I just did then and even more detail. And tons of people were watching and oh, this is gonna piss me off. 2 days after that hearing, after Andy Hamlin and Judge Junkin said, no, he's way too dangerous to put back out in society. I mean, that's what they said. We can't chance him. And that's literally what Andy Hamlin said during court. We can't chance putting him back out on the street. He will do this again. That's what he was saying. 2 days later, he went to Marquise and said, if you'll plead guilty to a felony, we'll let you out today. And when I found out, because I found out immediately, hey, they just went to the jail and talking to Marquise and telling him if he'll just plead guilty to a lesser felony, they're going to let him out of jail today. I said no, because all Marquise wanted to do was join the Army to get out of there, because there was nothing for him in this very small town, and his mother was still a drug dealer. I mean, and she said that herself on stand, by the way. I'm not talking down on her. I'm just telling you facts. And he knew he needed to get out of that town. And all he wanted to do was join the Army. And he had spoken right before this incident happened. He had spoken to a recruiter and was starting to do the things that he needed to do so he could join, because that's all he wanted to do. And I knew if he got the felony, he wouldn't be able to. And so I spoke to, I'm not going to name the family members of him I spoke to, but I immediately was on phone calls and was like, no, tell him don't do this. Like, he didn't do anything wrong. If he has to, take it to trial, because no jury's going to convict him, but don't let him plead to a felony. And they know. Andy Hamlin and Judge Junkin knew if they can get him to plead to a felony, that they would leave him stuck in that town, because they would not have been able to stand to see him be successful in anything because of the color of his skin, because that's the only thing that makes sense. But Marquise had been sitting in jail for well over a year, and I'm not faulting him. I'm not, because I wasn't the one sitting in this horrible county jail that's like a third world country in there for over a year. So I'm not faulting him. Because all he heard was, oh, you're going to let me out immediately. And even though his family was saying, no, don't do this. He took the plea. And again, I'm not faulting him. He wanted to get out of jail, and I understand that. And in this small county jail, there are horrible living conditions, like I said. But he took the plea, and they immediately let him out. And then my thing was, how could you say literally 2 days ago that he was so dangerous you couldn't even give him a realistic bond to make because he was so dangerous, you couldn't let him back on the street. But now all of a sudden, as long as he pleads guilty to a felony, he's safe on the street now? It was ridiculous. And I will never forget it, obviously. Never. And when Judge Junkin and Andy Hamlin's elections come up, I will be out holding up political signs for whoever their opponents are, myself on the streets. And I will go knock door to door for their opponents and politic for them and campaign for them in every way I can. We have got to vote both of them out. What is wrong with my... So tonight, TikTok has kicked me off. It said due to inactivity. And it just kicked me off. Let me see if I can jump back on there. Doesn't make any sense. Had over 200 people on there. Just randomly kicks me off. Okay, I think we're back. Anyway, sorry, I rambled for a long time there. I didn't mean to. I don't even remember how we got on that, but anyway, it needs to be brought up every once in a while anyway. Deidre, I don't know. TikTok said they kicked me off for inactivity. So I don't know. No, Katie, it didn't ban me. TikTok, can y'all hear me? Because it keeps saying there's no sound detected. I thought y'all could. I don't know why it's saying that. Anyway. Oh, we were talking about why it's so important to take your local judges' election so serious. But that's why. That's why. You amaze me. Every single person I know in law enforcement or former law enforcement support all law enforcement, even when they are in the wrong. I like that you do not do that. And not all law enforcement do. I know a lot that feel just like I do. They're still currently in law enforcement, and so they do have to be careful about the things they say out loud. I don't. But no, I never chose to start working corruption cases on police officers when I was in law enforcement. I I worked one, and then I guess they was like, "Here, you're going to work some more." Because honestly, I didn't. Well, let me say it like this: there's nothing fun about investigating another police officer. Um, it needs to be done, and somebody's got to do it, but it's not the most fun thing. But I ended up enjoying it when I was working corruption cases where there was legit corruption. And what I mean by it was no fun is because some of the ones that that they would have me do investigations on wasn't corrupt. Like, it was one time I did an investigation on a officer because supposedly his girlfriend, and he was a young officer, but supposedly his girlfriend was smoking weed in his apartment. Like, yes, if you're in law enforcement, you can't let that happen. I get that. But do you need to be investigated and possibly thrown in jail, your career ruined over that? No, I don't think so. So that's what I mean. Some of those like that is not fun. Because obviously that officer from then on and everybody that likes him and knows him is going to think you're out to try to throw police officers in jail, and it's not the case. But anyway, again, I never chose to work the investigations. I was just pushed into them. But that's what got me, on corruption. But like I said, most police officers are like me. Like the saying is, and I'm sure most of you have heard it, and it is true. No one hates a corrupt cop as much as a good cop does. And that's the truth, because a corrupt one makes us all look bad. And we're all not bad. Actually, the larger percentage by far are really good. But it's just the bad ones make it look really bad because they get all the attention. So that's why I really enjoy going after them. One of the reasons is because I don't want them in that business because they make everybody look bad. And then also, obviously, for obvious reasons, they're doing something illegal, and most are hurting other people while they're doing it. And that should never happen. You take an oath. You're supposed to be a certain way and do certain things and not do certain things, and that's the way you should be. But somebody like Nick Smith, the Walker County, Alabama sheriff, he's a horrible human being. And he's the most corrupt sheriff I've ever seen, by far. As with most of his agency, completely corrupt. They have hurt people. They have ruined a lot of people's lives. They have taken people's lives illegally. All of them need to be gone. Yeah, Jerry, you're exactly right. No, alcohol is out. You say alcohol is 10 times worse than weed. I say alcohol is 50 times worse than weed. And like I said, it's the same thing with most DAs and judges. Most judges are really good at what they do, and they would never do anything corrupt. And most district attorneys would never do anything corrupt. But there are some that do, and we have to get them out. I agree with that, Jerry. Jerry said a cop should receive 3 times the sentence if they're caught breaking the law. I agree with that. They're held to a higher standard, and they should, if they do something illegal, something seriously illegal, their sentence should be at least doubled what a normal person would. I completely agree with that. I wasn't trying to go over the top. I've never gone over the top. It's being sarcastic, obviously. Yeah, there are corrupt people in every profession. Absolutely. I mean, I've arrested people from just about every profession. I've arrested lawyers, doctors, nurses, teachers, principal. I mean, all the above. And not for minor things. It's serious things. Denham, I saw that. So Denham said Brian Enton and others have reports on an article that came out yesterday showing Nanos lied on his resume. And if you're not familiar, it's talking about Chris Nanos, who is the sheriff of Pima County, Arizona, where Nancy Guthrie is missing. And I saw that, and that's not surprising to me at all. I'm telling you, that guy he's worthless, and he is. Oh my goodness. He is horrible at his job, and I think he is personally responsible for Nancy Guthrie's case not being solved yet. I mean, he's the worst communicator I've ever seen. And honestly, that's why I'm not talking much about the case now, because I got so frustrated because we don't know anything. Because Nanos will come out and say one thing, and then a week later say something completely different, and then say something different the next time. We don't know. We have no idea where they are in investigation. We don't know if they have suspects or who they are or what they have, what evidence they have. We don't know because of him. And it just got frustrating. Yeah, Missy, Madison County's district attorney, I'm not happy with him either. Yeah, he needs to be voted out of office as well. Yeah, Nanos is yet to do well. He did one press conference, and that was like 2 days after she was missing. He has not done another press conference, which is unheard of. He is also saying out loud that he is cooperating with FBI, and he is not. Trust me, he is not cooperating with them at all. And I've said that. And I was one of the only ones. I don't know why, but I was one of the only ones, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that figured that has a source. But when he came out and announced that the family had all been cleared, he did not run that by the FBI. The FBI had no idea he was going to be saying that, and the FBI has not cleared anyone. He just randomly got on the news and said that. Him all on his own. And you can't do that. Is there something we can do to help Marquise? Well, like I said, now Marquise is out now, and all he has to do is, I can't remember how long he's on probation now, but he's not going to violate his probation. Again, he's a good kid. He wants to be left alone right now, which I completely understand. He is doing well. One of his family members updates me every so often, and he's doing well. And I don't know where he is. He is not in that county right now, thankfully. I don't know where he is, and I didn't ask. So he just, whatever he's doing, again, I've been told numerous times he is doing well, and just still trying to get back to normal life and try to figure out, exactly what he's going to do or whatever. And he will. He's a smart kid. One last thing I want to bring up before I go. This is going to piss over half of you off. I understand that. But I try to be as non-biased as possible. And when I feel a certain way about something, then I say it. I don't try to sugarcoat things. I don't try to, oh no, I may lose a follower or two if I say this. This is my thoughts. Again, I'm about to piss over half of you off. Hopefully you'll get over it. You have to understand we're not going to agree on everything. It'd be very weird if we did. But I'm about to offend some of you. Oh, hold on. That's the wrong thing. Hold on. Let me send these to my folder. Yeah, just give me a minute so I can get these pulled up. But and this is in regards to, you need to have a heart sometimes. You need to realize these are real people you're talking about. Because some of you lose complete reality on that at times. All right, let's see. All right, it's going to piss over half of you off, but I'm going to go ahead and say this statement. And you've heard me say it before. Why is it that so many females cannot stand to see another female be successful in something? Why is that? I've never understood that. Anybody being honest will agree that's the way it is. Again, I'm not saying all, but a lot. So let me see. The things that females lose their mind if a male says it, and they should, because these things should never be said. They're ridiculous, completely untrue. Just, I can't stand that person succeeding, and so I'm going to act like they got there because they're a woman. Because most of these comments I'm about to show you are by other females. Some are by males. They're all completely despicable. And they all make me sick. Oh, that's the wrong thing. That's not it. So here's one of the headlines I saw on this, which this makes no sense. Trump snubs military and names Erica Kirk to key advisor board of U.S. Air Force Academy. Now, most of you have seen this. First off, this is not a key advisory board. It's the advisory board for the U.S. Air Force Academy's visitor board. They meet no more than twice a year. They get paid zero, nothing. And for 2 years during Biden's term, the first 2 years, they didn't even have a board at all because he fired them all and didn't reappoint anybody. So this is not a key position. This is not a making big decisions by any means whatsoever. So I wanted to go ahead and make sure everybody understands that, because people are talking about this and they have no idea what it is. And there's nothing special as far as like this is, again, they're not making huge decisions here. Okay. There's not any direct like qualifications you would need. And we're just going to read a couple of comments. I mean, I've got over 100 screenshots, but we're not going to read them all. He wants to look at her leather pants. So again, that's implying that, oh, he appointed her because she's a good-looking female. She's dumb. She has no sense. She's sleeping her way to the top, how some of you say it. He might as well have appointed Helen Keller. Now, both of those were made by males, just for full transparency here, but we're going to get to the other ones. Here's one of my favorite ones, and I see this one a lot, and it's all by females. I thought she was supposed to stay at home with the kids. Yeah. Oh, except it's not 1950 anymore. Mothers are allowed to have careers. I don't know if y'all know that, but they are. That's by a female. Here's another female one. And I bet she totally the oh, the ironic that this is so ironic because she can't even word a sentence right. And I bet she totally educated and knowledgeable in this field. Again, there's no like special qualifications you need for this. We're about to get to the good ones. Don't worry. These are all light. That's what she believed until she saw the salary. Again, $0. Doesn't pay anything. Oh, that was to the. I bet she. I thought she was supposed to stay at home with the kids. That's it. And here's another one. Wow, Vance must have really liked those leather pants. Because again, that's the only reason that he appointed her to this. Because she's a good-looking female. I mean that's got to be the reason, right? I mean, she's a blonde female. She can't have any intelligence. She has her own leather couch to make Vance comfortable. Cha-ching. Let the cash register ring. Again, this pays nothing. So Vance's VP pick, right? Yeah, because this is equivalent to a VP pick. Yeah. Here's some good ones. Here is some good ones. Her job is to recruit, train, and inspect. And Heather here says, missionary position? And here's the famous, they always say it's not who you, again, these people can't write. It's so ironic. It's not, I think you're supposed to say, they're trying to say it's not who you are, it's who you blow. Because, again, that's the only way she would have gotten anything. But notice the missionary position is by a female. Joining the Mile High Club does not make you qualified for the Air Force. Did they need a stripper on the board? Now, keep in mind, this is a grown woman with children who is actively running an organization that's worth hundreds of millions, something that probably none of these idiots making these comments could do for 2 days. Oh, and her husband was executed on national TV for simply using his First Amendment rights. She's got fresh meat now. That's her ticket out of the drop zone. He heard she has a landing strip. How long has she been sleeping with him? Will she be redecorating the dorms? Because that's all she'd be good at since she's a woman. Men in uniform probably have several partners there. She kissed a wall, and well, I'm sure much more. Here's a female. She'll be well known there. You get my drift. Can she spell academy? Well, no, she's a blonde woman. She could spell academy. Must have damn good knee pads. I think that's what he said. It helps when you're simping on JD. All you body language experts over a hug. The dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. If you think something was wrong with that hug, there's something wrong with the way you think. You thought something was wrong with that hug because you wanted something to be wrong with it. Here's another female. So she blew him. Did she? Wait, I thought she already had a position. Don't worry, her position there will be horizontal. Wonder if she'll put those Egyptian planes to good use now. By the way, that whole Egypt thing is complete hogwash. What's the second one? And her new job comes with a brand new set of knee pads. She's taken a lot of planes, so she has the experience. She must polish great. Just saying. Those knee pads must be worn out by now. $10 says she'll be known as the cockpit by the end of the first semester. She stays busy. Who's watching the babies? Again, yeah, she's not allowed to have any kind of career. She's got kids. She must have heard that one of the items in the job description was dealing with the cadets' physical equipment. I heard it's because she's certified member of the Mile High Club. And then here's a post made by a female. And Erica Kirk falls into this by what qualifications exactly? I think she is the most, I think this is the most unified our country has been in forever, seeing as how this was obviously based on the poor widow image. I guess when your husband is going for the position you want, you just off him. This freaking girl is implying that she had her husband's life taken for this position. What a freaking joke. This is a real person. And here's another female. What are her qualifications? How much is her salary? Who's watching her kids? Bye, woman. Last one, and then we'll stop. Again, I've got over 100 of these, but we'll stop. Another blonde bimbo. And then by a female. Shouldn't she be home with her kids? Such a fake person. You know, I heard they even allow her to vote. I couldn't believe that. I forgot that we passed that amendment that women could vote now. Guessing most of these people think we should go back to that. Now, my whole point about all that is no matter if you think she had a boyfriend she lied about or something at some point or whatever. I've got over 100 screenshots, and I didn't have to search. I literally was going down the comments just screenshotting. Because out of hundreds and hundreds of comments, I think I saw 2 that was in support of her. 2. Over her getting a position that doesn't really do anything. Doesn't pay anything. And the only reason he appointed her is because Charlie Kirk was on that board. And he just put her in his position. I don't understand. Don't know if I ever will. This has nothing to do if something's great about her. The fact is, she's a blonde woman. And for that reason, a lot of people think she's not qualified to do anything, even though she's actually very educated. She's a lot more fucking educated than most of the people that talk about her. They probably don't even know that because they've never taken the time to actually research true things. Her husband was a great man and literally one of the most intelligent people I've ever known. And in my opinion, one of the most intelligent people that has ever lived. And her children are going to grow up and see this stuff. All because a bunch of people are jealous that she took over an organization that her husband started from the ground up and grew into something amazing. An organization that has brought more people to Christianity than any other organization in the last 10 years. And people don't like that. Oh, and because she didn't grieve the same way. She didn't grieve the right way that people wanted her to, apparently. Because everybody's been in her position, you know. Everybody has had their husband executed on national TV. Hadn't everybody gone through that? So everybody should know how you should grieve. The fact is, everybody wanted her to go off in a corner and cry and lose her mind, instead of sucking it up and actually taking over the company and trying to be strong for her family, for her children, and his organization. And that's what people can't stand, because they wanted her to go off in a corner and cry. And they know they could never be as strong as her, and so they're pissed off about it, and they're jealous about it. That's a fact. Anyone that says she's not grieving right is and this is where I'm going to piss some of you off and offend you, is ignorant. Because there's no right way to grieve. There's no wrong way to grieve. That is a fact. There's no question about that. And most of these people loved her husband, but now all of a sudden, since he's gone, they act like he was the dumbest person ever and chose the worst wife he could have ever chosen. Like he didn't know her. Oh, she fooled him. Yeah, he is so dumb, he would have just been fooled. But again, the reason I bring it back up is because I saw all those, and then those are comments on every freaking post about that nonstop. What is wrong with us? I'm not saying you have to like her. That's fine. Why do you have to get on social media and post these horrible things about her, though? Because if it was the other way around, and you all know this is a fact, if it was the other way around, if a husband's wife would have been executed on national TV and he stepped in and started doing all this, no one would have a freaking problem with it. You know why? Because he's a man. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Sorry, but that just I was scrolling last night and I started seeing those things, and it just, good God. I don't understand it. And again, a lot of those negative comments were by females. the fact that any female would make a negative comment about like that is crazy to me. I expect it from ignorant men. We are dumb. I'll be the first to admit that. Men are ignorant. I expect it from ignorant men. I don't expect it from another female. I just don't get it. I don't get it. You know, and I started thinking about the same thing today when I was sitting there looking at Anai's mother sitting up front in the courtroom, having to hear the things she was having to hear and seeing how strong she was being. And I thought, how many people would be talking bad about her because she's not up there crying right now? You see how dumb that sounds? But that's the truth. And then all the comments about, where's her kids? Why is she not staying home with her kids? Are you kidding me? And every one of those was by females. You know, I have young children, and my wife has a career. Thankfully, my wife makes 5 times the amount I will ever make. Also, and I'm not ashamed of that. That's just a fact because she's very smart. I don't know how she does it, though, since we have kids. Can't believe she's not staying at home with the kids. I don't know. We got to do better. And just understand these are real people. And to act like you know so much about somebody that you've literally never in your life met, and somebody that's not been in the spotlight much until recently, it's impossible to know a lot about her. But yet everybody is an expert and knows exactly what kind of person she is and who she is when you've only seen her since her husband was executed on national TV for literally just speaking. Are we learning anything or hearing anything in the Tyler Robinson trial? Well, I mean, it's not in trial yet, but they haven't said much more about it at this point. At this point, again, you don't have to like her. I don't care if you like her or not. That's up to you. I don't expect everybody to like her. I don't expect everybody to be all for her. None of that. But that doesn't mean you should say these horrible things when I know good and well if it was the other way around, you wouldn't be saying anything. But this is what's happening with this society. Women fought for a long time to get equal rights. And they finally succeeded in that. And now we're going backwards. Because now, in some states, women are not even allowed to have their own bathrooms anymore. Males are allowed to go in their bathrooms with them after they fought for so long to have their own rights. Time magazine gives Woman of the Year to a male. Because he dresses up like a woman. Guess what? In the old days, females weren't even looked at as humans, and so they weren't even allowed to be in plays. So the males had to dress up as females and be in these plays. This is the same. We're going backwards. We're going back to that, and people don't even see it. We're letting them compete in sports against them and beat them all. Again, literally, women are losing their rights right in front of our face. And instead of women speaking up about it, they're getting on here dogging women, other women, implying that they only get places because they slept with someone. All right, I'm off my soapbox. All right, I got to go because I got a very early morning. I got to get back to Macon County in the morning, and it's about a 3-hour drive. So I'm going to jump off. I appreciate each and every one of you being on here. I hope I didn't run any followers off, but if I did, again, I try to be non-biased and I just speak my mind. And I never expect people to agree with everything I say. That would, again, be weird. That's not what I want. I'm never going to agree with everything that you say and every single one of your beliefs and vice versa, and that's okay. If you only follow somebody or listen to somebody that believes exactly like you, you're never going to learn anything. That's why I enjoy people that disagree with me coming up in the comments and being on my lives and asking questions and us having discussions, because I learn. If I only listened to people that believed just like I do, again, I would not learn anything. I like learning. So anyway, I appreciate each and every one of you. Hope you all have a good night. Again, if you're in the path of any of these storms, please be careful and watch out for that. Make sure you have a safe place to go if you need to, and don't wait too late. I will be, unless something crazy happens, I'll be back on Friday night, 9 p.m. Central. So don't miss that. And again, as soon as the trial, the Nia Blanchard trial is over, I'll do a live where we'll just talk about that. Again, I'm taking tons of notes and I'll put it all together. I don't really want to get too specific with the testimony and everything until the trial's over, just because I don't want to mess up anything. I mean, it probably wouldn't, but I don't feel comfortable with it until it's over. But I feel very confident that he's going to get what he deserves. But anyway, if there's anything I can do for any of you, please let me know. Don't hesitate. And I will see y'all Friday night.
Welcome back to Truth or Recon. I'm Agent D. Baker, a retired narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy combat veteran of OEF and OIF. With years of real-world experience in high-stakes environments, I have seen firsthand the dangers that lurk